We live in a day and age where technology is creating a world without borders, filled with unlimited potential to improve the lives of the people around us. Innovarex Global Health ushers in a new way of leveling the playing field with increased access to quality healthcare services delivered at your doorstep. Our qualified professionals are equipped with state-of-the-art point-of-care testing technology to conduct tests such as kidney function, liver function, electrolyte tests, body composition, hemoglobin, A1C, and many more services with the highest efficiency in delivering results. The addition to our flagship Wellness on Wheels, more fondly known as WOW Delivery Service, brings the entire clinical experience full circle. IGH has remained committed to creating the future of healthcare delivery. Gone are the days of sending loved ones outside the country for basic medical services. Innovarex Global Health offers a new peace of mind and takes pride in delivering the quality of care we all deserve.
For the first time in the history of the Gambia, Gambia Printing Publishing Corporation proudly introduces the Biliomatic exercise book printing machine. The machine has the capacity to print more than 20,000 books per hour. Yes, 20,000 books per hour. It also prints magazines, newspapers, calendars, flyers, normal books and all kinds of printed documents plus items at affordable prices. With the Biliomatic printing machine, GPPC can now render high quality and non-size restricted printing service supply across the sub-region. Rush now and partner with GPPC for all your public and private printing service needs. Print with us today and you'd be offered highly professional, reliable and efficient service delivery by our team of experts. The Gambia Printing and Publishing Corporation is here to meet all demands and is reliable at all times. For more info, contact us on 437-4493 or 437-4402. GPPC is Gambian and it's yours.
All right.
Honey, did you remind him that the last time he sent the money, it was not enough to buy all the provisions?
Oh, sorry, I forgot to tell him.
Are you guys talking about money transfer to buy provisions?
Yes.
But don't you know about Baluwo?
Baluwo? What is Baluwo?
Baluwo is a service that your son can use to send provisions directly to you guys from the shop. And you don't have to worry about the exchange rate.
Tell me how Baluwo works.
It's very simple.
Just log on to baluwo.com and shop or download the app on your phone. You can shop on the website or using the app to buy online basic products for your family and friends. With Baluwo, you decide what your money is spent on. Your money, your choice. Buy online products for your family and friends in the Gambia, Senegal, Nigeria or Mali. Baluwo, better than sending money.
Gamcell data, now even better. Enjoy 20% extra data on all Gamcell data bundles. Buy 20 megabytes and get extra 4 megabytes. Buy 50 megabytes and get extra 10 megabytes. Buy 100 megabytes and get extra 20 megabytes. Any amount of Gamcell data bundle you buy, you will receive 20% extra data for free. Dial *302* data amount hash or go to your Yaiborom menu and choose your data bundle now. Gamcell data, it's fast, lasts longer and very reliable. Gamcell Yaiborom.
If I understand you, minority, prior to yesterday's discussions, you said there is a norm that justifications are those that are posted on the page. Am I right? So you going by, you now want to...
Came. I'm saying prior to that decision, there was a norm, and somebody put that notification on the page. That is to say, the norm that had been taking place, the passing followed that due process. And then if anything should come after, I think should not capture that particular person.
Yeah, what I'm saying is, you are saying the norm before, it was the following members who were absent does not follow it. And what brought about the change? I think that should be that's your concern. Am I right?
That's not the case. I'm not saying that's what brought about the change. I'm saying that yesterday, the ruling came yesterday that this is going to be the position. But I'm saying, prior to that, there was a case where a member put the notification. So I want to believe that particular position should not affect that particular one.
Honorable member, I have now got your point. I think it has been the norm that when you post in the page, it is accepted that you are granted permission not to attend. And those who have not done it are those who are absent without permission. And up to yesterday, that was the norm. And then what happened to those people who, prior to yesterday's decision, that was the norm, what happens to them? We will leave them as it is. We are going to leave them as people who were granted permission at the time. You know, from the ruling, we now changing. That would now be determined between us. Probably, I may also give him criteria to say that if this and this happens on the page, they must say this and this. If that has happened, then they can be granted permission. We will come to that finalization. Any other one on page 3? On page 3, yes? Yeah, on page 3. We move to page 4.
Yes, please. It's the first paragraph.
The first sentence on page 4.
Yes, please.
She is saying, Honorable Alma Al-Hussein Sise, member for Same.
That the assembly considered. It either has to be that the assembly do consider or the assembly considered.
I don't know. I don't know what you want to say here.
Honorable Speaker, if it should remain the same, then 2 should be added, I guess.
Honorable member.
Thank you. I just want to say that it shouldn't be in the past tense because it's a motion he's trying to raise to move. So basically, what you can have there, as his right said, do, but it shouldn't be in the past tense.
Honorable Speaker, observation.
I am saying it shouldn't be in the past tense. The way it is okay, unless you want to use the language of standing order, do consider. But considered should not be there. It should be considered.
Honorable Speaker, observation.
That's what I mean. 2 should be added.
Honorable nominated member.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. I just want to observe the ruling that took place yesterday. Yeah, because most of the members cannot get access to you, so in case you are in sitting.
Honorable member, can we clear this one and then you come to that?
Proceed, okay.
Can we just clear the issue of this language issue? Can we? Page 3, let's read it from the last paragraph.
It's page 4. Honorable Speaker.
This is page 4.
Go back to page 3, and then we read from the last paragraph on page 3, and continue to page 4. Honorable Aliou Balde, member for Jara West, moved the first motion and was seconded by Honorable Seni Jawara, member for Lower Salum, and Honorable Keba Jallo, member for Jala Central. And Honorable Keba Jallo, member for Jala Central, moved the second motion and was seconded by Honorable Al-Hussein Sise, member for Same, that the Assembly consider and approve the records of votes and proceedings for the sittings of this. Yes.
Thank you very much, Speaker. The only correction here on page 3 is the capital N, A-N-D. And on page 4, it's okay the way it's drafted. Yeah, it's correct.
Any honorable member who has a different opinion? Woolley East? Pardon? You have the same opinion.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I'm just appealing if you can explain to the August Assembly how we are going to channel that medium of communication through your office, because sometimes we may be on the way and emergency may occur. We could not be able to get to you if you are in session. Thank you.
Sorry. I think that the channel of communication will be communicated. We may come to an amicable one. But whatever it takes, it cannot just be that you just put something in a page only and you are granted permission. Members have a right not to attend. But if you are to be granted permission, it has to get a format and an organized mechanism that will be suitable to all of us. Member for...
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, what the Honorable nominated member is raising is a valid point. I don't think, as you stated earlier on, you discuss among yourself and come up with something. This is a rule that guides us. And I believe, I'm looking through my standing order, as far as attendance is concerned or permissions are concerned, I haven't seen any clause that deals with that. I think it will be befitting for standing order committee to look at this issue and let it be reflected in our standing order.
Honorable member, even the
That's my observation.
Honorable member, it's only the speaker who can grant permission for people not attending. There is no ambiguity about that. And we want to make it uniform and we want to make it easy. Whatever comes out, you cannot say somebody else is going to give permission. So, we will make sure that we have something in place that's convenient to all of us.
Very much. The member rose to that your legal backing. Clause 8, in any case where matters are not expressly provided by the standing order, any question or procedure or shall be decided by the speaker. So entirely, these are the discretion to make sure that you thank you.
Honorable member, but what I'm saying is, permissions, whether stated or not stated, if you go to the relevant provisions in the Constitution, you'll find it there. Yes, honorable member.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker, for giving me the floor. Just about your ruling, sending information to the main WhatsApp page, that is not official. What I've seen the National Assembly, it has become a settled practice here. National Assembly sends so many official correspondents to the page. So if one wants to seek for permission and send this information to the page, it's not official. I don't understand that, please. Thank you very much.
Don't confuse practice and what is right or legal. So let's just abandon it. It may be a practice, but I am not denying that. All right, we will have the last one on this particular issue so that we can proceed.
Yes, thank you very much.
A member for Upper Salum.
Yes, thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. I think the issue of getting permission from the Speaker is actually contained in the National Assembly Service Act. If you go in there, you will actually see what members are supposed to do when they want to be absent from the Parliament, not the standing order. But if you go to the National Assembly Service Act of 2022, it's going to be very clear. And even the Constitution also is clear, yeah, not the standing orders.
Honorable member, I think I've made it very clear. It is our common interest, mutual interest, that we have the best that is convenient for all of us and is legal and proper that will guide us all. So I don't know what is the problem. So please, can we go to page 5? You have more on page 4? Yeah, we have just completed page 4. Honorable member for Woodley East.
Thank you, Honorable. Honorable Speaker, when you go to where you have tribute as the caption, the third sentence, it says delivered tribute statements. So I think we just said delivered statements in honor of Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II. Because tribute is already in the caption. But tribute statements appears to be very funny. Then if you go on the motion, where you have the following members debated, instead of debated, we say took part in the debate. The following members took part in the debate on the motion. That'll be better.
Honorable members, you've noted the observations made. Paragraph 3, that the third line, become or not respectively, delivered tributes in honor of Her Majesty. Huh? And then where you have 4, motion, the following members took part in the debate. And yes, member for Busumbala.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker, for giving me the floor. Honorable Speaker, I believe we have competent clerks,
between us and our leader. We have been advocating that vice presidents will come, ministers will come. Yes, we have no doubt in their ability, but we want our president to sit with the NAMs to discuss issues, so that this is going to be direct communication. Sometimes we believe along the line our messages are not filtered as supposed to be. Sometimes we believe that the president should feel our feelings. So in that, it's going to promote our democracy. During Jawara's days, it never happened. Yahya Jammeh came for 22 years, it never happened. So that's going to be his legacy and our legacy. And I think everybody should be ready to promote that. Honorable Speaker, going to the main discussion. The financial condition of this country is going down due to a lot of factors, though the president based his speech centered on Ukraine war and COVID-19. That's evident. But I believe we have some internal problems as far as the revenue collection is concerned. So it will be the duty of all of us, particularly those who are given the tax, the responsibility, to make sure that the leakages are sealed. Every day, you look at social media, you hear a lot of things that's not helping the country. Because Gambia is not an island, and we entirely depend on donor support. If they are seeing corruption working naked in institutions or hearing about it, that can stop them to fund some of the project. And it's going to affect us. So it's high time we hold the bull by the horn and let justice prevail. Our institutions that are raising revenue for the country must be ready to fight or combat corruption. Honorable Speaker, coming to National Development Plan, the debt that we have, both national and international. We all know that countries are indebted, not only Gambia. But what do we do? How do we make investment to make sure that the productive services are well positioned to yield something for the country? If not, the debt services will increase. Our agriculture, yes, we talk about food security, but the agriculture should boost our economy. We should not only depend on groundnut for our exportation. We should go beyond that. The vegetables that are grown in this country, a lot of them go in waste. We can make a lot of foreign exchange out of that. So it's high time we try to reduce the debt services by investing into the economy. Honorable Speaker, coming to a public-private partnership, anywhere you have partnership, you want it to be mutualistic. We don't want it to be symbiotic relations. So in partnering with relevant corporate societies or private sectors, it needs to strengthen our economy. It needs to support us, but instead they will loot us or depend on us to enrich themselves at the end of the day. We should fight against that. In as much as we want to promote public-private partnership, care must be taken. We must know what is our interest. Honorable Speaker, moving to foreign affairs, international cooperation and Gambians abroad. The President made mention of some of the achievements made, and which we should not lose sight of those significant achievements. But I think there is much to be desired. The foreign services need to be really looked at. Who are the people that we are sending to these foreign services? What can they bring to our country? I think the President should tell us, 2016 to date, or last year to date, what were some of the flagship projects brought by these foreign services. We are spending a lot on them. What are they bringing to the country? We really need to look at this. Honorable Speaker, it's not every Tom and Harry that need to be deployed to foreign service. We don't want people who will just there to receive their salaries and allowances. They must promote the image of this country. They must have the concern of Gambians outside. Honorable Speaker, our brothers are living outside and sisters, but they are not even given their democratic right to participate in voting in this country. And we talk a lot about the diasporans, the contribution that they make, remittances that they send, but they are not given franchise to vote. I think henceforth, we need to look at that as a government. How do we incorporate, how do we give chance to our people to participate in our elections? Honorable Speaker, coming to agriculture. The President made mention of 20 boreholes for small ruminants across the country. 20 borehole drill. For next summer, we would like to know the location of these boreholes, where they are dug within the country. Because if it is my constituency, Central Badebu, I can tell the President or I can tell the August gathering whether it's completed or not. What are these level of implementation? So members here can be witness to some of the projects. And Honorable Speaker, some of these projects will come to our areas. And the President said we come as one family and develop the country. But those that are not in President's party will not be part of the discussions, will not be part of the need assessment, will not be part of the project implementation. That culture must be stopped if we want to be a serious people to develop a serious country. Representatives of the people must be respected in their communities. They should be the gateway. So when partners come, to implement a particular project in Central Badibu, I should be consulted, no matter what. And if the president is coming to launch that project, I should be consulted, because I should be there. If you don't see me there, they say, this man, they don't like the president. No, that culture must be stopped. If you don't inform me, I will not go. My grandfather said, if you are not invited to a program, if you touch their egg, you will be held responsible. So let it be inclusive as people who are ready to mean their words. Honorable Speaker, I have a report here. I saw a youth man standing in a field. Yes, but these photos are not enough to represent the youth fraternity in their involvement in agriculture. How many young people do we have in the rural Gambia who are trying to participate effectively in crop production, but they don't have support? The way the funds come, the way the projects are implemented, youths are not involved. We use the youths and women to get funds. When we get the funds, we marginalize them. This is the culture that must be stopped in our agriculture. We always say they are the cream of the society. They are the backbone of the society. When the project comes, it's Alcalo and some of the VDC that will be seen. The VDC or the Alcalo will select his family members to be part of the project. That culture must be stopped. Honorable Speaker, we have the vegetable growers there. The picture is good. I don't know whether it's funny or what. But I believe this is NEMA project. The photos. Okay, now we have roots. We should be informed the transition from NEMA to roots. If we are not informed on the transition, we will not know what went well and what went wrong with roots, with NEMA project. Now we have roots. The same problem can happen. And these vegetable growers, they don't have market. There is a missing link between production and marketing, more so processing. So our agriculture must have a link. If there is no link in agriculture from production to processing and marketing, then what kind of value are we adding to our agriculture? It's still the prototype system of agriculture that prevails in the Gambia since the days of our grandfathers. We need to move. Somebody made mention of tractors. Yes, in the Second Republic. And he said the tractors were, he used a very nice language. I don't know sincerely. I wrote it somewhere. But the tractors, the distribution of, yes, can you help me?
Thank you. The tractors were taken and they sold them and they distribute the money among themselves. Thank you. From poor innocent Gambian farmers. Thank you. You can continue.
But that's not what I'm looking for. What I'm actually looking for, he said the tractors were given to seasoned farmers. I will not call them seasoned farmers, I will call them as political patronage. The tractors were given to the chiefs, the alcalos, the governors, who were the ambassadors of politics in those days, and which we need to change the narrative now. If we condemn, we confiscated those tractors, and the tractors are not given back to farmers that are serious, but instead being sold, that also should be condemned in totality. I was not happy during those days.
Observation.
How they were.
Observation. Thank you very much. The narrative is from me, and I think I should observe you. What I said is very clear. As you have alluded, these are seasonal farmers that I can attest, where most of those areas where tractors were distributed were not chiefs, were people who had seasonally farmed in my constituencies, the LR, the CRR, you name them. So it was never given to chiefs for political gain. Point of correction. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I still maintain my stand that those people are not serious seasoned farmers. It will be wrong to tell us they are seasoned farmers. And I want you to go to your dictionary and find out what we mean by seasoned farmers, my brother. Those are political patronage, and I'm going to repeat it. In my constituency, chiefs and politicians were given the tractors. I still maintain my point. We can continue the debate after the House. Honorable Member. Agriculture, we move to environment. Honorable Speaker, the Honorable Minister of Environment, the former Minister, and the former Minister of Petroleum, they all came to this Parliament here. I raised the issue of Tembilan, and I raised the issue of sand mining taken at Saro, Denton Bridge. But they were trying to defend it here in the National Assembly, which even if you are not a geologist, you don't know anything about soil management, you know what is happening in Denton Bridge is not environmental friendly. The sand mining taking place in Denton Bridge, Honorable Speaker, it's high time the President know the damage that is causing to our environment. The Tambi Forest help Banjul, help our aquatic animals to do well in those environments. The fishes in the river, that's their habitat. That's where they breed. All is now demolished in the name of expansion, in the name of building structures. We need to do proper environmental assessment. And I put this to them. They say they have done environmental assessment. But even if they have done so, but what we are seeing now is not favorable. And the blame game was, it was the former government that allocated the land. We believe that the government remains. People come and go. If you come as a government and you find something that is troubling the environment, you need to take action. How many timber was exported from Gambia to outside? We know how our environment was damaged. We cannot just go and gather youths and women tree planting. No, we must move from tree planting to tree growing and tree protection. We must make sure that when we engage in tree growing, those trees need to be supported. We need to think dry season, what will happen to them? You cannot just go to the Dobo forest and say, we are planting tree. You take photos and send it to Facebook or to your page. Or they inform State House that this is what we have. But do we have a sustainable scheme to make sure that those plants are protected? Because we invest in them. This is what is happening. There are a lot of projects that came here, you know, CRR, URR, but go there and make an assessment and see whether those trees are in fact there. And I want to talk about the mangrove plantation that they are doing. Honorable Speaker, most of us hail from rural Gambia, and we have riverine. The mangrove that they are planting in the upper land is not suitable in that land, and they will never grow tall, because mangroves always, they are along the creeks. Do you understand? So the salt water or the fresh water will help them to grow. But if you put it in an open place or the upland, they will not grow well, because they will not have enough water. So what happened? They will become dwarfs. If you look at all the trees, all the mangroves being planted 5 years ago, they still remain as dwarf, because it's not the proper site for them. We need to do a lot of studies into this, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, our environment is threatened, and we need to look at our coastal line. The sand collection that is taking place is causing more harm than good. The government must think of alternative means of construction rather than we depend entirely on sand. Honorable Speaker, coming to health. Yes, some MPs applauding the ministry for the ambulances. Fine, it's good. But my constituency is not the need at the time. I made an assessment with the then minister. We walked from health post to a health post up to 3 a.m. if he is here, he is my living witness. And he consulted the grassroots. They told him there are needs at their health facilities. I told him here during the days, I said, if my ambulance money could be, used for drugs or rehabilitating my structures, I would prefer that. And this is what the assessment that I have done with him. But now the ambulance is given. Fuel is a problem. The driver issue is there. So these are some of the issues we have to be realistic in planning. And need assessments must be done. We cannot just say, I'm going to give ambulance for Salikenyi, when actually there is an ambulance that can serve Salikenyi. When ambulance is not the need at the time. Maybe Nyanija or Upper Salung, ambulance is your need. It's your felt need. But for me, it's not my felt need. So we have to look at these things properly in order for development to be sustainable. Honorable Speaker, coming to health insurance scheme and bad registers, I think we have to applaud the government for the giant step taken to standardize our data-based system. Honorable Speaker, if our data is not computed well, where do we move? Many people will talk on radio, social medias, foreigners, this and that. No. When we have a data in place, we are secure as a country. So, but people who are refusing to get registered, I'm telling all of them to go and get registered because it will haunt you. When the system is closed, it will be very difficult to get another bad registration. So this is a national exercise. Everybody must be registered to have a correct data for our country. The health insurance scheme is another thing. People need to be informed, Honorable Speaker. It's not that today you are registered with the scheme, today you have the benefit. No. The program is not officially started. Registration is taking place. Let's get registered. And it should be clear that it's not only Gambians. Even non-Gambians are entitled to health insurance. Communication must be done, Honorable Speaker. I believe communication was not properly channeled before the whole exercise was started, because there were a lot of misinformation that went around. Honorable Speaker, coming to health personnel. Health personnel need to be motivated very well. And we need to look at their conditions, particularly in the rural Gambia. These people, they sacrifice a lot. They are everything in the communities. Though we know there is a gap in terms of training. Training gap also need to be looked at. But the sacrifice that they are making warrants commendation. And we need to see how best their allowances reach to them on time. Because teachers can go on strike, sit down strike, but if nurses go on strike, doctors go on strike, that's a different thing. So we really need to look at the training gap. They need to be capacitated, and we make sure that they get their dues on time. Honorable Speaker, coming to higher education and science, research, science and technology, I have to thank that ministry very well for the effort done in the 5th legislature. And also members will say that 5th legislature, they don't do nothing. Yes, we don't do nothing, but come and do something. We appreciate it. Yes, I know some are here now, they will do something. But that ministry took a giant step to address the problem at the University of the Gambia. When we are coming, the work progress was very low. With consultation, the ministry makes sure that the areas, the funding issues were addressed. More so scholarship. And it was through this parliament that supported the ministry so that we award more scholarship to our deserving students. Kudos to the Ministry of Higher Education for that effort. And how many young women and men are now going to university from bachelor's to master's degree. But I have to express my disappointment too about Ndemban Skills Center, Honorable Speaker. Ndemban Skills Center, we went there are a lot of investment made. And I believe the President will in fact make mention of it in the speech. The progress, how far? Because we thought by now students should be going to Ndemban to learn skills. The investment there should not be wasted. I know there are other consultations done, but now we want to see action by now. But I think the Vice President will be in the better position to inform this House as far as Ndemban is concerned. Because I believe the entire youths from North Bank, CRR, even if we cannot have 1,000, but we can have at least 700 students or more that can attend that skill center. So, Honorable Speaker, I believe the Vice President will better inform the office about Ndemban. Honorable Speaker, I think TVET education also is in high gear and in high direction, but we need to also decentralize skills. If you walk through the North Bank region, before we have technical schools that do technical education, but we need to have institutions that will provide skill training, not only GTTI or not only in the Greater Banyu. So sometimes we feel marginalized, those from the rural Gambia, to be honest, because we want to see some of these skills also in our communities, in our environment, that will also mitigate the level of rural-urban migration. Why do we leave the rural area and come to the urban area? It's because in search of skills, education, or job. So once we have it in the rural Gambia, that's also going to reduce our urban population in increase. Honorable Speaker, I'm proud to tell you people that we attended a training in South Africa, Midrand, where Gambia was singled out in terms of TVET education. The achievements made by the government, that we have a woman in the Gambia who is a specialist in auto mechanic. The whole sub-region, Gambia was singled out. So I'm proud to inform this office that as far as TVET education is concerned, as far as skill is concerned, Gambia is in move. But as I said, we need more expansion in these areas because not everybody will be good in academics, and we need to fill these gaps. Honorable Speaker, looking at the examination results, I know some will say students have failed, but for me, I will not call it a failure, being an educationist. I believe the curriculum needs to be revisited. Honorable Speaker, I want the Vice President to know that Gambia, our curriculum needs to be revisited. Our curriculum should not be based on meritism, but it should be tailored in a way that we learn to serve communities, we learn to serve our industries, we learn to provide skills. If it is only examination oriented, then we fail as a country. Honorable Speaker, from education, coming to petroleum, the President made mention of FA and Petronas successfully completing the drilling of Bamboo 1 in December 2021. This is an offshore exploration. Well, what happened next? We need to be informed. If they have been successfully exploring Bamboo 1 in 2021, December, up to now, what do we need to know? I believe there is missing information. And this drilling also, the assembly need to be well informed. We know little about what is happening. I know the committees are engaging them, but as far as the General Assembly is concerned, we need more information on the drilling that is taking place in order to diffuse some of the information that are circulating. Honorable Speaker, coming to NAVEC, the OMVG is another flagship project that works commendation, and I believe there is a progress registered in it. But Honorable Speaker, looking at the Gambia, coming back to rural Gambia, there are communities who are still suffering, who don't have access to electricity. And this is their fundamental right. Before I mention Panchang, I will mention Kerr party in central Baribu, then coming to Panchang then. So these are communities that you know, they have lumos, there is local market going on. Once there is electricity in those communities, the economy can go up. It can grow up, trade could be easily facilitated, they can be engaged in a lot of things. We know it's in phases, but these areas need serious electricity because they see themselves marginalized in the development. Honorable Speaker, from Jawara, traveling to the northern part of central Baribu to Mintekunda, that belt never enjoyed electricity. And they are tax compliant, they are the supporters of the government, they do a lot. But since time immemorial, they don't know what is electricity. It's Senegal who is, bringing cold water to them for sale. So imagine. So these are some of the things that the government need to really look into. Tourism, Honorable Speaker. Tourism, I am disappointed, seriously disappointed with that ministry. This National Assembly approved funds for ecologies to be constructed within the country. And those ecologies, there is no life existing there. What is the ministry doing about it? We all know that COVID-19 hit that ministry a lot. But we believe there can be something that we do rather than having this phobia of COVID-19 in our minds. And more so, I had an information from that ministry, they released that information that all British women come here for sex tourism, or that's too segregatory, that's too bad for our tourism. That communication was very poor. I don't expect a responsible institution to make such release. Those women, they have right to marry anybody, even if it's their fundamental right to marry to anybody. We always talk about human rights, and marriage is a human right. It's choice. You are not there to tell me the wife that I should marry. You are not there to tell me. And if you look at a particular country and label them of that, are you not killing your tourism industry?
Honorable Speaker, point of order. Can we hear the point of order?
Standing Order Section 31 stated very clear, and I think the member is deviating from the point that we're discussing. Specifics should be on the State of Nation address, and I think you need to concentrate on that. 31.
Yeah, yes, I've looked at it. I think this has been the same point of order yesterday and today. And I mean, as regards, he was talking about tourism and sex tourism and people's right to marry. I think those are captured in the whole statement of His Excellency the President. What I would advise honorable members to do is, if you are not of the opinion as to what he says, take the floor and come out with an opinion. Honorable member, can we continue, please?
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I'm never distracted. So what I said, you want me to repeat it, and I will repeat it. I'm not happy with the statement because we are here to heal a nation, and we want to promote tourism. I'm saying certain remarks, whether you are a minister, whether you are honorable, you should be responsible in our remarks, Honorable Member of Oluyulu. This is my point. All right, Honorable Speaker, going further. Museum. We all know that our artifacts, our history, should be well kept in our museum. I believe the President should inform us. Is the government in position to look at our museums, particularly the one in Banjul? expanding it, digitalize our records, and for rural Gambia also to have some of this museum, because there are a lot of artifacts that are getting lost. And if you go to the museum here, there is much to be desired there, to be honest. I think we believe as a country and as a member of African Union, since Agenda 2063 is working towards how to make sure that our heritage, our cultures are promoted. Honorable Speaker, coming to gender, women and children, this is our brainchild, this parliament, this ministry that you see. Honorable Speaker, we developed a bill. We have a success story of the disability bill, which the President made mention. We want to thank the ministry for their collaboration and the parliament. Chinua Achebe once said, when an Agama lizard falls down from an Iroko tree, he said, if people don't praise him, he will praise himself. So this parliament needs to celebrate and praise themselves, because those bills all pass through this parliament. The disability bill, the support, the engagements, the consultations. But Honorable Speaker, coming to the Women Enterprise Fund, we have a disappointment. And the principle of that fund is to support Gambian women. And I believe the President will be happy when women group who are not in his party to get benefit. But we have evidences where checks are issued on political platforms. Yes, I have evidence. It's evident, it was done. We made an alert. We have evidence by then as a select committee to call the minister to order. But what I'm saying is, when something comes as nation builders, let us make sure that we separate politics from our development. Because we have been tasked by the President to cooperate fully for the development to take place. I will not cooperate if marginalization is seen naked in my face. I will not compromise. So for that, I think that was a gross error that we need to look at for future. Let us separate politics with our development. What comes for women, let women CAFOs be given, because the criteria are very clear for those who will be qualified for it. Honorable Speaker, coming to the same gender and women, I saw a photo in this report, very interesting. A woman holding two cattle. That shows that how women also are supported in small ruminant or in agriculture. But I believe it's beyond this. It's beyond this, and the ministry must make sure that women are not used, but they must take the lead. They must take the lead. The world we live in, I said it here, we have weed word, now is God. Gender and development. So let's make sure that whatever is done to women, let men also be. If not, this country will go again to take men and bring them. We don't have time for that. So let's all go alongside and make sure that these projects are supported and protected. It's all based on how we implement them. Honorable Speaker, youths and sports. Honorable Speaker, I think this ministry needs to be separated. Because when you say sports, many people have this feeling that youths are only meant for sport. And I think youth development is beyond sport. Though sport is an integral part of it. Honorable Speaker, our youths are not supported. They aren't. We commonly say youths are lazy, they don't want to work. No, it's the system. And those youths at the beach side, it's high time this parliament look at them. Don't look at the dreadlocks that they carry. They are decent human beings that live, that need a life that's worth celebrating. They are contributing something to the society. Let us not marginalize them. They are our brothers. whether you like it or not, they come from families. Let's meet them in their ghettos. We must communicate to them. Let's look at the institution of bumpsterism and see how to make sure that it's recognized. The bumpsters, the people that we call bumpsters, let's look at them. These are people that the government need to look at. These are critical group of people living in somewhere. Maybe, sometime we feel not to go and see how they live. I think it's good for every minister or an MP to take a stroll along the Senegambia in the evening and see for yourself. This group of people, it's high time we look at them, how to make sure that we have a better measures for them, Honorable Speaker. They can be very useful in some of the industries, not only in the hotel industry. Honorable Speaker, youth and employment. It will be very difficult for all of us to put on tie to go to the office. But if a youth is supported in CRR with the necessary tools, he is employed. And let us not try to misdefine employment. Employment doesn't mean where you will be paid 3,000 or 5,000. No. You can employ yourself. It's not only on the suit that will solve this problem, but people need to be empowered. Youth must be recognized. And when it comes to sports, I will repeat it. The traditional wrestling is dying in the country. Nyoborumo is getting fed up. So we have to look at other sports that are so much cultural oriented. Not Barcelona and Manchester or Real Madrid. No, it's beyond that. Thank you. Honorable Speaker, I believe with the support to the youths, they can change the narrative. And it's high time, those who call themselves youths, and you are not a youth, in our rural Gambia also, please leave the field. There's a time for you can become a youth advisor, but you cannot be a youth when you are 45, 50 years. Youth projects will come in the village, you champion them, you abuse them and put it in your pocket. This is the fight that I'm doing in Central Baribu, and I believe all of us can do in our constituencies. Let's get involved in the youth activities. We coach them, let them have their constitution. Let us make sure that the leadership is taken by the right youths. And more so in the political parties. The political parties, you find old people, gray hairs, calling themselves youths. Sambajalo and others. No, you must leave. You are not a youth. You leave the youth domain and go to other domains. But the example must start from us. Honorable Speaker, coming to the office of the Vice President, disaster. Honorable Speaker, I think we need a national framework for disaster, and which has to be coordinated. This framework will comprise all the institutions that are disaster related. Honorable Speaker, are we safe?
That is the problem there.
Are you afraid? Okay. Honorable Speaker, when COVID-19 came, I can stand here and say the whole Africa was not prepared. We are not prepared as a continent. We are not prepared as a country. And who knows what is coming next? We cannot wait until disaster occurs. We start looking for funds. Some are sent, giving T-shirts, mattresses. You call that one respond to disaster? No, Honorable Speaker. This institution should not only focus on floods or houses that are falling down. It's beyond that. I believe it has to be coordinated to make sure that we know that these are natural things that will happen along the line. But once we are organized, once we have good budgetary allocation for disasters, when disaster occurs, we can respond immediately. If not, it's the MPs who will suffer, and MPs don't have budget for disaster. The councils must be responsible It's not only the central government. Area council, they are collecting taxes. What are they doing? We need to know whether they have a budget for disaster. It's not only to go and say a mayor or a councillor came to see us. No. Seeing me empty-handed as a badibunka, I will ask you to go. I will not in fact welcome you. So these are some of the things when people are in need, the institutions responsible must act. Honorable Speaker, coming to infrastructure and communication, we believe there's a lot of work done in the last 5 years as far as road constructions are concerned. We might call it political like some of us critics, yes, but definitely I think Hakalang was a right conceived project. And Upper Salung, Njaha Road, Sabah Sanjali, Nyanija, Sabah Sanjali, Bambali. Honorable Speaker, coming to Hakalang, the work progress in Hakalang, we need to know the percentage of progress. How far? Sabah Sanjali, we need to be informed because these are projects that all pass through this parliament. We need to know where they are now, what are their challenges, and what can this parliament do. Once we are better informed, we can make a better decision during budget allocation. But the information that we get here, as far as those projects are concerned, they are not enough for the parliament to make a better decision. Some of those roads are in a horrible condition. And they have a target. They have a target. So we need to be better informed as far as those infrastructures are concerned. Honorable Speaker, looking at my own area, the Bani Salikenya Road, the project is tendered, awarded. We believe the work should start by now. We believe. So such kind of pending projects, the Kiangas also, I know they will have their own stories to tell, but the Kia Road also, these are some of the roads that we need to know. The assembly need to be informed on the progress level of those roads. Fatou, Jambur, we don't know, this parliament, we don't know where the fund comes from, who is sponsoring that road, we know nothing about that road. As the former chair of the committee, we know nothing. Up to now, we don't know who are sponsoring that road. And it's in a horrible condition. We must be serious. You cannot fix a road today. 1 month time, you go there, you cannot ply the road. Let any MP try from Fatou Market to Jambur, you will see what is happening. And these are taxpayers' money. So if you want us to work well, it has to be a coordinated team play. I do mine, you do yours. We can't allocate funds and next minute we see you doing something different. And when they come here, we are the people that they see, please pass this thing, please pass this thing. We could all remember when that oil fund came from BP. Ministers were parading here, all lobbying for their ministries to be allocated. So once we allocate, we make sure we do it as allocated. Honorable Speaker, defense and security. Honorable Speaker, I think most of the members speak about it. And last parliament, the clerk will bear me witness. I raised matters of the day as far as security issue is concerned, particularly to foreign troops in our land, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I for one, I believe it's time for ECOMIC to leave our country for good. It's costly, Honorable Speaker. It's high time our men to be in charge. What is happening to security sector reform? We believe by now, once the reform is done, we should be the masters of our own destiny. We know Gambia is not an island. We are part of ECOWAS. And we knew why they came at the time, it was needed. We are in a political impasse at the time. But once we were here for 5 years, we went for election, we have another batch of government, sound-minded ministers that we think they can steer the wheel, sound-minded NAMs. So what next now? What next now? Do we mean the employments that we have done, the elections that are we not really in what we are doing? Change must happen now. Our security cannot be in control of foreigners. We don't have an occupation here. And we have to learn history. Before 1994, what happened in this country? There were Nigerian troops here, in this country. Do you understand? So it is a transition. We must, wait, you want to observe me?
Honorable Speaker, I just want to, after Suleiman's presentation, to move a motion. We limit time. After his presentation, we limit each member's time to probably 10. Otherwise, I see some members sleeping already. So I think 10-15 minutes will be okay for each member.
Okay. I think you have observed me. Okay, so it's noted. Let's move. Honorable Speaker, what I'm saying is we want our men in uniform to be in charge. We want them to be in charge. We have no hatred for Senegalese troop or Nigerian troop or Ghanaian troop in the Gambia, but we believe Gambia as a sovereign country. We have our laws, we have our military, we have our securities. They need to act as a country. That's my observation, and I believe you will carry it to the President that time has come for us to be in charge. Honorable Speaker, justice delay is justice denied, coming to legal sector. And we believe the President made mention of TRRC. Now, TRRC is something that has been constituted by this Parliament, by an act of Parliament. And we believe it was a process. Now, the white paper has to be implemented. And we need the support of everybody. We are not here to put up a blame game, but I, for one, believe we all have a responsibility to carry. And in that responsibility, we have to do it judiciously. Now, you cannot ask me to forget about the past when justice is not given. We believe this matters, the process needs to be completed. Until those found guilty, we know that they are guilty, then we can talk of forgiveness and we can reconcile. But once the process is not completed, Honorable Speaker, unity in this country will be threatened, and it will be very difficult for us to develop this nation. So we must make sure that the process is completed, and this Parliament have a role to play as far as the TRRC white paper implementation is concerned. Let's stand firm to see to it that the people, the perpetrators, are prosecuted. At the end of the day, we talk of forgiveness and reconciliation. But we must see justice being done. Justice needs to be done and seen to be done, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, at the early days of the government, 2016, we talk of sanitizing our judiciary for the judiciary to be Gambianized, Honorable Speaker, and we have seen the government taking right steps. We thank them for the step taken to make sure that our own grown-up Gambians take the lead in our judiciary than the mercenary judges from outside the country. And I think we have to commend the government for that. But I believe still, we need to do more as far as our courts are concerned. The cases, that are happening in our courts, sometimes they are delayed. It is very difficult to make to make sense out of it. So the security threats are around because people are not safe in their matchbox houses. Do you understand? We cannot live in Soweto lifestyle in the Gambia during the days of apartheid. People are scared to move out. Every day you see news that somebody is killed there, somebody is stabbed there. What is happening? So I think we need to look at these things and make sure that the perpetrators are brought before the justice, Honorable Speaker. These are some of the things that need to be done in a quick manner. Honorable Speaker, new constitution. The President talked about new constitution. Very good. We welcome it. And we want it to be speedy, as 1997 constitution is not a progressive constitution with the time and age. The time that it was formulated, I don't disagree with that, but the time that we live in now is not a progressive constitution compared to the other countries within the sub-region. So holistically, we need to look at it, though the draft constitution couldn't pass here due to so many factors at the time, political struggle, So with all that, let us all have in mind that Gambia needs a new constitution. And we want the President to work on this thing as quick as possible. He knows the modus operandi that they are going to use, and Parliament will have a role to play. But we want Gambia should usher into Third Republic. That's the history of our president, that's our history as NAM, and that's the history of the Gambian people. Who is not interested in making a legacy? Tell me in this house. So that's your legacy, that's my legacy, that's his legacy, for Gambia to have a new constitution. Without that, we don't have a legacy. Honorable Speaker, fisheries, water resources. Honorable Speaker, we were informed here, one of the sonars, that boreholes would not be an issue in this country. The number of boreholes to be dug was stated clearly. But up to now, go to Sare Adama or Kusalan or Sare Mountain is it upper flood? Lower flood. You cry with their cattle, go to Central Badibu, Wire War. You have herdsmen with their cattle, they don't have water to drink. They have to migrate to the riverines to get water. And there, they have class with rice growers, farmers there. So once we don't find solutions to these problems, we'll be living in a state of problem. Conflict will be obvious. So these boreholes, Ministry of Fisheries need to be very serious with water problem in the rural Gambia. Water is a right. It's a right to clean, safe water. It's our right. There is no MP here, maybe those in Banjul or where, but we are not happy with the water system in the rural Gambia. Upper Salum, NAM, these days, the number of boreholes that he inaugurated, he knows. Myself, I know. And these are from individuals who contributed to build these boreholes. When we have a government who made a commitment that they will make water available to us. We know that the government cannot do all, that's obvious. But Nemo for be a coma, if I can get him Honorable Speaker, fishing, we have these fishing centers in the Gambia which are very common, and I believe they can supply us with fish. And there are projects, these projects were projects during PPP government, and APRC inherited it, but there is no support to those fishing landing sites. Salikenye, Tankular, Tendaba, Kemoto, Albreda. This was a project inaugurated by the Italians. And this project can help us. The structures are there. We need the gears, the materials, the youths go for fishing. They need training too. Because some of those youths who are interested, they need training. So these materials need to be available to us. So, but you cannot expect, you give me, the former government, APRC, had canoes, you could remember, or boats you might call them. Those boats were at Barra for so long. And they gave it to the youth or to some communities, but they don't have proper gears to do fishing. So this government, what is your commitment to fishing since you came? Oh, we came. What is our commitment to fishing? And the fishing agreements, the president did not talk about it, but I believe we need to revisit them. They are not in fine-tune. Let's fine-tune them. The fishing agreement with Senegal, the fishing agreement with the European Union and China, let's revisit them, Honorable Speaker. This is a task of the Vice President. At the Cabinet, you really look at it, and we have a way out. I think it was done on rush. Honorable Speaker, coming to lands, local government, and religious affairs. Honorable Speaker, religion is my problem, and is the problem of many. In the sense, fanaticism is in increase. Intolerance becomes the order of the day. You have a right to believe in whatever you want. I have a right to believe in whatever I want. But that should not make you to hate me. That should not make you to force me to accept what you believe in. So we must fight against fanaticism, because at the end of the day, it will give birth to terrorism. Let's accept each other as Gambians. Believe in whatever you want to believe. Me, I'm not a preacher. If you are a preacher, preach in your mosque or in your church. Your preaching, in fact, should not be stopped by law. So, but what we are seeing in this country now is we become so intolerant. We don't tolerate people. And other issues you tolerate. If it is sports, you are a fan to Barcelona, and how many of them are Muslims? You support them, you with your kaftan and everything, you go and watch them. So when I'm here, because of my belief, you don't want to sit with me. It must be stopped. It must be stopped. And we must have people as serious religious advisors. Because TRRC exposed a lot. That some people use Islam as a blanket. They cover themselves and commit serious problems in this country. And up to now, it's happening. So we must find solutions to this. Constitution make it very clear. You have a right to worship. I have a right to worship. If I want, I can worship a tree. It's none of your business. That's my belief. So you have a belief. Do you understand? As an African, our culture is to tolerate. Honorable Speaker, looking at the land becomes a problem. And we all know that we cannot do development without lands. And this land, it's high time government to look at it. Though some lands are owned by families, land tenure system, but the problems now are getting too much. We need to address them. Land ownership is a problem. And government should decentralize the land policies to the rural Gambia. You go to the villages. In fact, even if you want to farm, you have a challenge to farm because of what? Land tenure system. There must be a system in place, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I will try to wrap up my speech, but I would like to read this part of this speech, which says, my government offers the nation a new socio-political order not tied to social preferences, partisan politics, or any form of extremism.
Honorable member, can you make reference so that members can follow?
Page 54. The last page of Sona, the president's speech. Is it the last page? No, it's the same. No, please. Just go to the report. It's the same. Okay, it's the last page of Sona. Last page of Sona. It's not 54.
Report.
Yes. Look at that other one. Look at the last page. It's the same. It's the same writing. Page 62.
Second paragraph.
You get it? My government offers the nation a new socio-political order not tied to social preferences, partisan politics, or any form of extremism. This is a national order purely for patriotic service and development. I plead that we embrace it as a construct that calls for uprightness, sincerity, and diligence. I think these are powerful codings. It's very powerful and it's very touching. It should reflect in our action. It must reflect in our actions. I thank everybody for your kind attention, and I believe with this, we are all committed. And what we are saying here, let's mean it and do work and leave a legacy. Or let's, if you are not interested in a legacy. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Member for Central Badibu. You've taken a better part of our time. But that is the purpose of the debate. Honorable members, we tried to allocate time to the debate at the ABC meeting, but it was agreed that we leave it open for people to participate the way they want. I now call on the Honorable Member for Janjambure.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker, for giving me the floor. And by extension, I sincerely want to recognize the presence of the Vice President of the Gambia and his entire cabinet for taking up their time to also come and be with us in the Parliament during this important engagements. To start with, Honorable Speaker, I just want to reflect on foreign affairs, international corporations, and Gambians abroad. Looking at the speech of the President, few things that were not really reflecting in the speech was the issue of deportation in the country, which have been a great concern for our young people, both those that are living abroad and as well as within the country. And we think it will be very much important for this particular ministry to actually look at the issue of deportation and also come up with policies that can help to address the menace. Also, on the same issue, that is on deportation, I think sometimes, yes, we cannot really deny some of our young people to come back to the Gambia, more especially if they are deported. But again, I think we should also look at the way they are integrated in our society. Some of these young people will come back home desperately from abroad, and at the end of the day, looking at the takeaway that they're given at the airport, it seems very, very little. And I don't think the funds that have been given to them can actually help to address their problems, looking at some of them actually coming from jails back home, some of them being arrested in streets and bringing them back home without actually having any financial muscles to actually start up new ventures in the country. So I really want to challenge the particular ministry to actually look into their situations. Also, our brothers and sisters in the diaspora, the President did mention about their contributions, that is with regards to remittance. But again, I don't think we actually give them the actual rights or privileges that they deserve, which were also cited by my colleague parliamentarians. The right for them to exercise their franchise, I don't think is actually given to them. And it will be important for them to also reflect in our policy documents, wherein they can also realize some of the contributions they do across the country. The President did mention about the Gambia holding a position with ECOWAS Commission. Yes, I think we also need to congratulate the ministry and the country as a whole. Also, with the issue of the Gambia being part of the United Nations Human Rights Council, that should actually last for 3 years, which is a term of an office. But then I think this should also help us to reflect on the issues of human rights in this country, because of recent, we have seen a lot of blockages from the IGP's office for restricting Gambians to actually go out in the streets to exercise their rights, more especially with issues that hinders their lives on a daily basis. I also want to look at agriculture. The President did mention that the Gambia as a nation, through the Ministry of Agriculture, has actually made giant strides in transforming the agricultural sector. But I think some of this work seems to be more of politically motivated. If not, they're actually statements that are kind of misleading, because we cannot see statistics to actually inform us as parliamentarians as to some of the successes that have been realized in the agricultural sector. He has talked about growth in the poultry industry. He has talked about increase in the cereal sector. But again, I begin to ask myself, if actually there is an increase in cereal production, why are ordinary Gambians still struggling to buy a bag of rice for 1,600 or little more above, when actually our farmlands have been there for over 3 or 4 years without due completion? And looking at it, the excuses again are very flimsy, because sometime last week or 2 weeks ago, we embarked on a tour as a select committee on agriculture. And what we see on the ground were really disheartening. For example, a community we visited in the Upper River region, I think in the Woolies, looking at the distance that the community members walk to reach out to their farms, I think it's about 3 or 4 kilometers, which, looking at the nature of the feeder route, is really sad. And I want to challenge the Ministry of Agriculture to look at these areas and see where they can adjust. Because the excuses have been those projects were led by NEMA, and NEMA has phased out. I think it was a 4 or 5 year project for the Gambia, which was looking at to address the agricultural needs for our young people and women. But only to be told that the directors that were heading or leading those institutions died, and due to those reasons, those projects couldn't really forge ahead, or due to those reasons, those projects couldn't really realize their goals or objectives. And I wonder, are some of our institutions or offices meant for an individual? Because if you are telling me a director is not there, I will expect a deputy director to step in and continue on the good work that the former director was executing. But just to tell us Director X died, Director B died, and because of those reasons, the projects couldn't be successful. The President did also mention about the 294.13 million project that is ongoing, and I think that is being led by the Roots project. Looking at that project as well, I think the situation or the narrative still remains the same. We have a whole of the River Gambia that is yet to be exploited. That is the potentials within the River Gambia to actually irrigate for farmers to cultivate on their farmlands seems not to be still realized. And I think the Ministry of Agriculture need to double up in addressing the issue of farming in this country. Also in his statement or in his speech, he talked about increase in the small ruminant sector. I think Tobaski was not, the last Tobaski we had in this country was not really 10 years ago. It was a few months ago. And ordinary Gambians were struggling to buy rams. And some of these rams, many would tell you, the borders were closed, more especially in between Mali and Senegal, and we cannot really get rams in the country. Therefore, the costs were high. And having these funds with the Ministry of Agriculture through their various sectors, I think they should be really invested. We really need to go down to the ground and work with the real farmers. We have farmers that are engaged in small ruminants. We see farmers in the various regions who would hold about, let's say, 20 or 30 ruminants. And before you go and support someone without a single goat or a single sheep, why not you go and develop or upgrade on that existing farmer on what he or she has? This is not happening, and I think this is how we should look at the realities on the ground by not deviating on the other hand. Also, I want to look at environment. I think a lot have been said on environment by the president, and we can actually congratulate him through the government, or we can actually congratulate the government or the ministry through him for the Paris Agreement, because they said we are committed to the international support to reduce emission. But again, if you look at our coastal lands, just I think yesterday or day before yesterday, I saw young people on social media, and these are young people from Kartong protesting that they don't want a mining company in their community. But it seems we are giving deaf ears to some of those things. And the views of Gambians need to be respected at all costs. The mining companies are really distorting our environment, and I don't think we should continue to live in those situations. And also looking at the fish mills in this country, I think they're causing more damage than good on our coastal lines. And this particular ministry, that is the Ministry of Environment, really need to look into their operations and also come up with policies that will be environmentally friendly to help in addressing some of those challenges. Also, salt intrusion in our rural communities is in the peak. Let's say from Nyanija down to Kuntauru, salt has intruded those areas. And the reasons behind that, even though I'm not an environmentalist, I think one of the reasons is we have cut down most of our mangroves for one reason or the other, more especially with our local communities that would use mangroves to roof their houses. But again, we cannot really stay in that blame game. What we should do is to resort to solutions wherein we can help to educate some of those community members to understand the importance of those mangroves in our waters. But again, I have not seen or heard from this particular ministry as to how much restoration project they have taken upon themselves in order to safeguard our environment. So therefore, I want to challenge the Ministry of Environment to also double up and ensure mitigation measures are being put in place to help mitigate against environmental degradations. Even though they're saying there's an embargo on the issue of timber, I think it is still ongoing, and we still have people in our respective communities with their chainsaws intruding our forests to cut down trees in order to sell and make money. But again, this is not only affecting our forest land. This menace is also affecting our communities, because it is trucks that are being used to go and collect some of these timbers let's say from the forest parks or wherever one might call it. And those trucks also cause some soil damage on our environment. So therefore, I want to challenge the Ministry of Environment to double up and see how best they can mitigate some of these things. Let's look at the Forestry Department under the Ministry of Environment. When the Germans were in this country, annually they will be working with communities to restore the forest park. They were giving seedlings for communities to engage on tree plantings. But of recent, not even of recent, over the past, when the Germans left the Gambia, that was the end of everything. You get into our forestry.
Point of order. Honorable Speaker.
Sorry, I don't think...
It's a point of order, please.
Can we hear the point of order?
Okay, I had
Yeah, thank you. Honorable Speaker, I'm rising on order 31. 31 of the standing order. May I refer this assembly to 31, please? Yeah, so basically, while we really appreciate the members' concern, but I think we should be devoted to the content of the speech. While adjournment debate, those narratives or details could be appreciated. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, Speaker.
Go ahead, Honorable Member.
Thank you very much, Majority Leader. With due respect, I think you walked out, you just came in, and it seems you are not au fait with the discussions. And
sorry.
And Honorable Speaker, I think I am on track and I'm speaking. Yes, so I think I just need to continue. It's better. What I was trying to actually explain is we think the Department of Forestry should not only be engaged in issuing licenses for people to go and chop down our forest park, but also they should be working with communities and respective structures to restore our environment for prosperity. I now want to look at the health ministry, which I think is also the backbone of this country, because without healthy people, we cannot really have a healthy nation or a prosperous nation. And during the President's statement, I just want to seize this opportunity to thank the ministry for the National Health Insurance scheme, which is a good step in the right directions. But again, as a colleague alluded, it will be also very much important for we to do the grassroots engagements, because the narratives on social media seems to actually discourage, or it might actually have effects on the process. So therefore, I think there should be more of engagements. I have also heard from other colleague parliamentarians that with the community ambulances that were distributed, which I would say is more of an alternative to mobility, that might be okay with other constituencies, but I don't think this is a way to solve our problems. And I just want to give an example. That is the crossing points that actually connects the northern part of the Gambia and the southern part of the Gambia. And if I say the northern part of the Gambia and southern part of the Gambia, that is the crossing point. Specifically, I just want to look at the Central River region. We know for Janjambure crossing point, the ferry service there work on scheduled times, and at about 8 p.m. or 9 p.m., they close their doors for work. And patients from the north, let's say from Kuntauru, Nyani, Same, and the like, normally, if there are referrals to Bansang Hospital, you realize that, you know, it becomes a big challenge because an ambulance cannot cross with a boat. And therefore, I want to challenge the Ministry of Health to actually provide Janjambure Health Center with a functional ambulance that could be used as an alternative if in case the ferry service at Janjambure Crossing Point closed, then the ambulance at Janjambure Health Facility could come at the crossing point or at the jetty to help in taking a particular patient to Bansang Hospital. I also want to look at youth and sports. It was actually also reported by the President some of the progresses made around the youth sector. And it seems what is being reported, that is looking at the National Youth Scheme Service, that is to say over 150 young people were graduated by that satellite institutions. Yes, it worth commending, but again, how much are some of these young people guided along the process, being it on career development or mentorship, to actually achieve their goals and objectives? Yes, I can be recruited by NYSS for 1 year program, and after that 1 year, I become jobless. So I think the career development need to be adjusted in that aspect wherein our young people can attain to their dreams. And also, I think it's also important that to recognize the efforts of some of the international organizations that were working within or around the youth fraternity in supporting young people to attain to their dreams. I think the approach needs to be slightly changed. The coordination around the implementation of some of these projects, being it GIS, that is the Take a Few project, being it IMVF, being it the Youth Empowerment Project, I think the government, through the Ministry of Youth and Sports, should adjust on their coordinations around the implementation of those funds in this country, wherein the ministry could actually help in directing as to how those investments should be done than allowing those international organizations to come and direct as to how those monies or those investments should be made. Also, I cannot conclude with youth and sports without actually registering my disappointment with the Honorable Minister. Here he is seated. I think I was actually on social media to actually show my disappointment about him. That was the allowance that were allocated to his wife, even though he was out there on the media to say it was an oversight, it was a mistake, he seek advice and
Honorable Speaker.
And I think the minister,
point of order.
his action. Yeah, why?
Honorable Speaker.
Yes, honorable member.
I still keep raising this thing time without number. Let's restrict our intervention based on the speech given to us for perusal. Someone's personal life or someone's defect. Okay, someone's defect.
Yes, sir. Not personal. That's not personal.
No, sorry.
It's not personal.
Speaker, can I be heard?
Oh, my friend.
So, the issue of the minister's travel to UK or to Commonwealth Games has never reflected in this thing. This issue could be raised at an adjournment debate. Please. So
Honorable Speaker, another point of order, please.
Honorable Speaker.
Honorable Speaker,
Honorable Speaker.
point of order, please.
You see, honorable member, when somebody is making a point of order, you please sit down.
Suleiman.
Sit down, and then give the person the opportunity to say it, and there will be a ruling on it.
Yeah. My point of order is that what he's saying is actually new in the content of the speech. So therefore, it could be reserved till adjournment debate and make that pronouncement. Thank you.
Honorable members, for this particular one, I have a concern because he's lamenting his concerns and regrets to the honorable member because he's seated. I mean, I think that is out of order, to be honest. You have a right to speak about issues as it pertains to whatever you call it, fraud or whatever. But in this specific issue, I think it's out of order.
Honorable Speaker, let me rise again. And in response to what the Honorable just said, or in response to your ruling, I think the issue
Honorable member, you cannot comment on the ruling. Please, continue your debate.
But I cannot continue on my debate without reflecting on the speech of the President. It is clearly stated by the President
Honorable
the successes
member,
registered on the Commonwealth Games. So why are you denying me from speaking about it?
Honorable member, please. In my opening remarks, I said, please, as much as possible, let's guide ourselves with our own laws. A ruling is made. Please continue. If you cannot continue, you please, we give the floor to somebody else.
Mr. Speaker, I will still continue, and I will continue to speak about the allowance that were allocated to the minister's wife, which was public funds.
Honorable member, this is my last word to you, please, on this matter. The matter is ruled, and you either take the floor or you continue your speech. This is my last one. Please.
Honorable Speaker, no problem. I will rest my case on specifically on the minister seated here. But I will continue to say corruption is at its peak in the Gambia, and the practices have been conducted by the executive, that is ministers in this country. And we have been seeing it, sir. It is in the open. And here is the platform that we have to share our views, not only our views, but the views of the electorates. So if we should be condemned to speak about those trending issues that are affecting our daily lives, then I would still want to question the use of this august parliament. Thank you, sir. I will continue. On tourism and culture, Honorable Minister, I will want to dilate on that. It was reported that the Ministry of Tourism is actually exploring other avenues in order to diversify the tourism sector. But again, how much serious are we in our diversifications? Because if we talked about tourism diversification, it actually involves product development. And I want to ask, through you, Honorable Speaker, which new products or services have the Ministry of Tourism and Culture developed over the past year? And if you have an answer for me, kindly help, because I have a lot of interest around that industry. So therefore, what I want to put across is we really need to be realistic in our submissions, for the simple reason that a ministry cannot tell me that I want to diversify the tourism industry when actually, you see nothing that has been happening in that diversification line. All that we sell for Destination Gambia is the 3S, sun, sun, and sea. So if you are telling me you want to diversify, tell me what have you done in developing ecotourism in this country? Tell me what have you done in developing sustainable and responsible tourism in this country? Tell me what have you done in developing community-based tourism in this country? If such is done, then I can agree with the ministry that yes, diversification is happening. But no, you go to that ministry, I think a petition is before this honorable parliament through the petition committee on the 5 eco lodges that are supposed to be built across the country. And each region is entitled to 1 eco lodge. The last time I visited Barra was last month. And sadly, go and see where they are building the ecology.
Thank you very much for giving me an opportunity. I just want to make a few clarifications just to clear the air. If you look at the security port, it is paid in so many countries. Even you get other sub-regions, you have it. But the manner in which it's collected, because the matter came before the Public Enterprise Committee, that it is physical cash collection, that it can encourage fraud and corruption as well. So, but in other countries, when you go, it is embedded in your ticket, where you pay it on the ticket. It is happening in so many countries. If we don't know, we have to. But you pay it in the ticket. But here it is collected physically. So that the arrangement, I think, needs to be looked at so that it really can encourage fraud and corruption. So this is our observation with respect to the board.
Honorable, thank you very much. I know that very well. Yeah, give me to flow, please, if you don't mind. Please. Honorable, actually, I understand that very well. But the way and manners it is paid in other countries is not in the same way in our own country. And therefore, that shouldn't serve as a threat to our customers, knowing how much Gambia rely on tourism to boost our GDP. So therefore, I think that particular security levy needs to be looked into. I'm not saying we disband it, but what I'm trying to bring across here is there should be a way to collect that particular tax without customers feeling the pain. It's like daylight robbery. So moving forward, Honorable Speaker, I really want to also look at higher education, research, science, and technology. The President did actually report on the infrastructural development in the country, or the transformation phases that are happening around our higher education. And yes, at some point, we are progressing. But in the other hand, we are not, because we are not seeing some of these things as all-inclusive approach, more especially when the rural communities are left out. I think the only progressive institution we see around the rural communities is the Basse College. And sometime last month or two, they were crying of hunger. So the ministry really needs to adjust in creating institutions that can offer life skills and career developments to our young people. We should not see life skills as an alternative for our young people. We should actually mainstream it in our educational system.
Honorable Speaker, I want to observe.
No, sir. Let's move. Honorable, relax. Honorable Speaker, I want us to look at petroleum and energy. I think the cost of petroleum in this country, let's say per liter, is really threatening. And I think last week or sometime last week, the ordinary citizens were really suffering. That is the movement of people from one place to the other, simply because the transport union were on a protest. And I think this can be avoided. And as such, I also want to challenge the Petroleum and Energy Ministry to also look into some of these prices and see where we can have a cut and also make fuel as affordable as we can. If other countries are selling fuel, let's say for $45 or for $65, when Gambia we're selling it for $75, then if we are not careful, more especially with our commercial drivers, they might not end up sympathizing us. And people like us from the rural communities, we can only make ends meet when actually we travel to the greater Banjul area. You will come to realize that we will still continue to suffer and suffer and suffer, more especially the poor communities. Honorable Speaker, before I would take my seat, I would also want us to look at gender, children, and social welfare. The President actually have spoken around the Disability Act that he says was in force. But again, I want us to actually expedite the process. Yes, sometimes we have some of these acts, especially in the Gambia. We're good in formulating policies. We're good in formulating acts. But again, do we reflect on them? It's always a question. And I would definitely appreciate if the said ministry can actually look into the issues of our children in this country. Because it seems on a weekly basis, you will hear a news about a missing child. So I think there should be a data system that would actually help to register the names of these children in our systems and also to ensure that their welfare are being safeguarded. Legal, I would also want to say one or two things about it as well, because I know a lot was invested. A lot was invested on the TRRC, which was actually approved by this honorable parliament. But it seems that the issue continued to drag. For example, with the white paper. I would also want to challenge the Ministry of Justice to also look into avenues to expedite the process, because we have victims out there who have been waiting to see what their compensations shall be. And until now, they cannot actually establish their fates. Therefore, I would actually want to challenge the Honorable Minister and his ministry to expedite some of these processes. And also in our justice system, like I think it will be also important to find possibilities. I know they have been trying to decentralize the justice system, having, let's say, courthouses in every region. But again, we think some of the regions in the Gambia are not being considered. And even if we have a judge, they're not staying with us. We only see them periodically if there are cases they're supposed to preside over. So therefore, we think every region should have an established and functional courthouse that would look at cross-courting issues, being it the High Court, the Magistrate, the Children Court, you name it. I think we should graduate from just having everything centered in the Greater Banjul area and also see as to how we can expand some of these things in our rural communities and also be able to serve the rural communities. On that note, once again, Honorable Speaker, I want to seize this opportunity to thank you for giving me the floor. And also I want to thank you all for your kind attention.
Thank you, Honorable Member for Janjambure. Honorable members, as I said earlier, we will stay today to finish the other paper for today. And we're going very slowly, a lot of repetitions. I will want to urge all those who have spoken also to stay and listen to those who are yet to speak. We now have the Honorable Member for Busumbala.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker, for giving me the floor. I acknowledge the presence of the Vice President of the Republic of the Gambia and his ministers here present. I also extend my gratitude and thanks to the people of Busumbala constituency, in whose mandate I stand before this August Assembly and address and take part in the debate of the SONA. Honorable Speaker, I want to start my intervention in the area of legal sector. But before doing that, Honorable Speaker, I want us to look at introductory remarks of the President when he came and read his State of National Address. In that remark, Honorable Speaker, the President did inform us that Gambia is a transformed nation. I want us to look at this term very critically. Gambia is a transformed nation. Honorable Speaker, in order for the nation to be termed as a transformed nation, there are criteria. And when we look at those criteria, we can say whether Gambia is a transformed nation. Honorable Speaker, a transformed nation is a nation that the government gives the subject voice and hope. Honorable Speaker, whether this country, the Gambia, our government is giving the people, the subject, that voice and hope. Honorable Speaker, we'll also look at another criteria, that is a transformed nation establish a vision for the future and the roadmap of journey towards the direction of better improvement and development of this country. Honorable Speaker, can we say at this point in time, Gambia is a transformed nation when we have a problem with our national development plan? As far as I know, I have gone through these statements. I have not come across with any statement by the President made mention of national development plan. Honorable Speaker, I will not call a nation a transformed nation wherein you have remand prisoners at Central Prison going for court and staying in that prison for 14 years. Honorable Speaker, we have come across during our rollout at Mile 2, the longest serving remand prisoner served 14 years in that prison and while still going to court. That is sad. You cannot say a country a transformed nation if you have remand prisoners staying for 14 years in jail. Honorable Speaker, you cannot call a nation a transformed nation if the victims who have been suffering for more than 20 years are still wallowing in their pains without remedies. Honorable Speaker, you cannot call a nation a transformed nation if you are having those problems. Honorable Speaker, you cannot call a nation a transformed nation if the security airport security fee levy is being collected without table before deputies at the National Assembly. Honorable Speaker, if you look at Section 149 of the Constitution, did clearly state that any taxation that need to be imposed by the government of this country should find its ways at the National Assembly for approval. Let's ask ourselves whether the airport security port fee is being tabled before this assembly. I haven't seen it in any record. So you cannot call a nation...
Honorable Member, can you make reference to the section of the Constitution?
149, Section 149 of the Constitution.
149?
149 of the Constitution.
Honorable Member, Section 149.
Why are you repeating this? Okay, yes.
Honorable Speaker, point of order.
No.
Point of order.
Yes, Honorable Member.
Section 30, subsection 1, clause 1 is very clear. The member is deviating from the address. What he is talking about is not even within the address of the President.
Honorable member, can you continue, please?
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. I appreciate that. Honorable members, let us be serious. This thing we are saying is not personal. It's for our country. Let us be serious and proceed for the betterment of this country. We cannot have a taxation that has been imposed on our people, and they are paying it. And that taxation is costing a lot of money. It's depriving the government of money that should be used for your other projects, your road development, your road construction. You know, a money that should be used for educational purposes, to educate our children. A money that should be used to make sure that we equip our police officers with vehicles to make sure that they serve effectively. Please, let us be serious, All right. Honorable Speaker, like I'm saying, that transformation is a dream that the President just read, but I think we should try and transform it to reality. I'm saying we are yet to attain that status of transformation, so let's work together and make sure that, hence is a dream that has been written and he read it, we try and attain to that status.
Point of observation. Point of observation.
Okay.
Thank you, Honorable. The point of observation is a very sensitive matter, as the issue of the prisoners you raise. It's unbearable that some of the prisoners are in prison for 14 years, are in detention centers for 14 years. And this matter, as National Assembly members, we should look into it critically and stress over the issue, because that alone is a human right violation. I don't know what type of democracy do they normally preach about, time and again. Thank you.
Point of observation.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, as I said, I will start my intervention.
Honorable member, please just hold on. Honorable members, we must differentiate between a point. If a member gives you a point of observation, it means you are observing something. And a point of observation is not for you to make a statement. Let's note that, please. Honorable member, you can continue.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Sorry, Honorable member. May I please observe? I just want to make a little clarification, please. Thank you, Honorable member, for Bujumbala. What I just want to observe is with regards to the issue of the security port. You did mention that it is taxation, and as such you cited section 149 of the Gambia Constitution. There's a difference between taxation and a levy and a fee. The security port is not a taxation, it's a fee. Taxation is based on income, which you might generate from the sales of your properties, which you might generate from the sales of your merchandise, or based on an income that you have generated after the delivery of a service. This one is separate. It's a contractual agreement between the government and a service provider, and as such, it is not taxation. So, thank you for giving me.
Thank you very much, Honorable. Honorable, I think in any service that you plunge into and you're making money, and you paid part of that money to the government is a taxation. I still believe to be corrected, but I know when you make money and you paid part of that money to the government coffers, is a tax. It's a taxation. So,
Honorable member, a second observation, please.
Honorable.
Yeah, to add on to what he has said, I think the government itself call it airport tax. Yes. So I don't know why that nomenclature, airport tax, if it is not a tax. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Honorable members, honorable members.
Point of correction, please, sir.
Honorable members.
I want to clarify.
Honorable members, please. Honorable members, I think what the nominated member did say is you made reference to a provision of the Constitution. And it's making it clear that provision relates to taxation. And that taxation is how it is defined.
Honorable Speaker.
I don't know whether we are clear about the issues.
Honorable Speaker, I read that section and the subsection therein, and I know what they are taxing is an airport tax.
No.
What they are collecting from our brothers and sisters from Europe once they landed in our airport is taxation, is benefiting this government.
Honorable Speaker.
It's going to government coffers.
Honorable Speaker, sorry, please.
I'm not giving you. I'm not giving you the floor.
No, honorable members. Honorable members. I think, honorable members. Let's get this very clear. Honorable members, please. Honorable members. Honorable member, please. Honorable members, we must exercise tolerance. We must listen. And we must go by our own regulations as much as possible. You look at somebody commenting. Let's be responsible, please. This is an important institution that we are serving. We must protect its integrity, and we must not allow it to be put into disrepute. By what? By our own behaviors. And some of you hammered on the issue, what the president said, put aside our political differences and come together. That's what you were hammering on. People had opinions on it. People thought it differently. People said it should start somewhere. That's the beauty of democracy and what we are doing. But we must respect each other's opinion. Honorable member, please. You know, this technical issue, you quoted the Constitution. You know, you have right to say what you are saying. Is the amount people are paying, you are not in agreement, or it should be done so differently. You have that right. But when you attach it to a provision of the Constitution that people have differences, it must be made clear. Please, you can continue, please.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, like I said, I will make my intervention in the area of the legal sector, like in tandem with the address of the President. Honorable Speaker, at times I'm concerned about the human rights records, which this new constitution could have been addressed, but for some reason we still have several provisions in our law books that curtail our freedoms to attainment of those rights. That's why I will challenge the Minister of Justice to make sure that, you know, he fast-tracked and and bring before this National Assembly the draft constitution. And when we said bring this draft constitution before the National Assembly, we don't want to see that, you know, because I'm very much careful the way the statement has been read, to craft in such a way that we lose most of the fundamental provisions in that constitution. One of those provisions is like the issue of nominated members. In the new draft constitution, it has been very clear there. So the reason why I am saying this, Honorable Speaker, because at times you can see, I don't still believe it is democracy when you sit and see nominated members being appointed as Speaker and the Deputy Speaker of the House, whilst you leave the elected members here. You know, we are representative of the people. We went to our communities and conversed votes, while some of you nominated members are sitting at your offices. All of a sudden brought before us and appointed as speakers and deputy speakers. That should not be accepted. Honorable Speaker, in that draft constitutions, please, I'm saying all members here, the draft constitution is here to enable us that we have a full powers. Among those powers is make sure that, you know, to put these ministers into a proper scrutiny before they access a ministerial position. We all know that there are allegations here and there, a lot of corruption at the ministries, but when we have those power to make sure that we scrutinize a minister before National Assembly, and that scrutiny will expose that minister, and so that, you know, the members of the general public will know this minister is capable to handle this particular position. This minister is having these assets before acquiring this position. This minister is having this knowledge, skills, and know-how to make sure that he propels this ministry to the highest level. So all these are opportunities that can be found in that new draft constitution. So if the president is telling us that he's working with the minister concerned, that is the Minister of Justice, to make sure that, you know, that document is brought and tabled before the deputies, we should celebrate that. Not only celebrating it, but we should welcome it and tell the minister concerned we want this thing to be here before us as soon as possible. All right. All right. Like I said, we have so many human right unfriendly provisions in our constitutions that, on our status book, that restrict movement of our citizens. One among these is Section 5 of our Public Order Act, and we should look at this thing very critically. Section 5 of our Public Order Act did state that, you know, before citizens will go and demonstrate, they must have obtained permit from the Inspector General of Police. But now, look at what led to the April 10 and 11 student demonstration, 2000 student demonstration. They did apply a permit from the Inspector General's office. He denied it. And the student went out and protested. Look at what untold stories now we are facing in this country. So many students lost their life. Most of the students, some students lost their life during the process. Some are incapacitated, you know, they cannot walk from one place to another without using wheelchair. All those are caused by these provisions that are not human rights friendly. So we should try and make sure that we remove those laws from our status book. And also, this Section 5 of the Constitution continue to haunt us. If I say that we look at the Soros-Sanders case, you know, and we are still witnessing the Inspector General of Police using that section to deny people who wanted to go out and protest. Please, let us make sure that, you know, we change our law, our status book, and give citizens a better provisions that will safeguard and protect their fundamental freedoms and their fundamental rights. Having said that, we also register some success in the area of access to information bill, which is tabled before you, the deputies, in the 5th legislation. I must acknowledge and thank you people for taking that bold step and give us that law which enable the journalists now to access those informations. But having said that, we still have some provisions that curtail this freedom of, accessing justice, accessing information, because we have, CPCs, criminal procedure codes, we have this giving false information to public officers, giving false information. These are laws, draconian laws that have been used to make sure that, they prosecute peoples in this country. One among them is these uneconomic crimes. All these are laws in existence. So we should make sure that we engage or challenge the Minister of Justice to make sure that, we have provisions that are human rights friendly in our law books to avoid being subject of suppression when it comes to exercising our human rights issues. Honorable Speaker, that will be my intervention in the area of just legal. But then before going to another areas, still in legal, Honorable Speaker, you will be very much shocked to hear this, but this is what happens, In so many cases, when you go to a remand prison, you will find people there who are staying there more than 3 to 4 months, 5 months, without appearing before the court. The practice will be, if you are charged for an offense which is attract capital punishment, they will mention it at the magistrate court, transfer the case at the high court, and remanded the accused person at central prison, mile 2. And the case file will be sent to AG chambers for an advice, and that case file will stay in that office for more than 2, 3, 4 months, up to 6 months. I have witnessed it, and I know people who are suffering on that account. So we are saying the Minister of Justice should act and do better to make sure that people have a quick justice. And also, Honorable Speaker, now I'll move to my favorite area, that is security. Honorable Speaker, security should be everybody's concern or business in this country. When you look at the Interior Ministry, Honorable Speaker, it will be interesting to know that when Human Rights Committee roll out for their committee functions, we went to Bara. The prisoners' ration that the prisoners are entitled. That ration I learned from our colleagues, the fifth legislation. They said there was an increment on the budget so that the prisoners could be catered for. But then when you go there, you interact with the station officer, they will tell you they have never received a butut to feed those prisoners. And you cannot confine someone, curtail his freedom of movement without providing food to that individual. Let's put human face into this. It's bad. So we are asking the Minister of Interior to make sure that you engage your commissioners, your IGP down to the commissioners. If these rations are given to them, let it filter to the relevant authority, that is the station officer, so that those in the prison or those in the cell or detention facilities can enjoy this fruit because it's their money. All right. Honorable Speaker, it will also interest you to know that mobility is another constraint that the police officers face. But these are very difficult to defend it because if the police are facing that constraint, and you can see the IGP voluntarily, rendering a public service to the pedestrian, that gives a conflicting issue as to whether you can support them or you can advocate for them. Because there is this drivers association that went on protest. Among all the security sectors, departments, it's only the Inspector General of Police who volunteered to give his vans to ease that transportation. So meaning, you don't have a pickup in Bara, you don't have a pickup in Farafenni that will be able to transport prisoners together with remand prisoners from Farafenni to Janjambure, but you can give passengers a van for easy movement when the drivers went on strike. So these are some of the things in order for us to advocate for the police to have those in person and equip them with the materials needed. They also has to be act professionally. You cannot act to please the executive when your house is not in order. Mr. Honorable Speaker, in the area of still at the police, Honorable Speaker, we asked question from the police officers that we came interface with, interaction, and some of the police officers will tell you, the committee members are here, over 10 years
Honorable,
they were not supplied with...
Honorable, can I observe you, please? Honorable, thank you very much. I know you went on your committee. I want to make a special appeal to you. Some of the things that you have seen during your committee, since the report is not ready, can you paraphrase them or you summarize them, not to go in detail until the report is completed?
Thank you so much, Honorable. But I think these are important issues, and these are issues that are affecting my own people, that's the police, and there is no better place to address it rather than here, because the president made mention of it, security. All right.
But honorable member, I think the honorable member for Central Badibu may be right. Don't preempt if it is a report, a committee report, you don't preempt it until it's tabled and presented to plenary.
Honorable Speaker, thank you very much. I can say it without taking reference from the top. But then these are some of the things I personally witnessed, and I have also lived under this condition. So I have a personal experience of it. All right, then let's go to still on the security, interior. Let's see the Department of Immigration, Honorable Speaker. Immigration is established to make sure that they perform certain functions for the citizen of this country. In the President's speech, I have seen that the interventions of immigration here is basically the money that they have collected to add up to our revenue. We thank Immigration Department for this, contribution, but then we will challenge them to do better in the area of securing our national documents. Of recent, so many public outcries has been in the medias that foreigners are having access to our national document. So we'll challenge the head of Immigration Department to be courteous and be cautioned about some of those activities. Honorable Speaker, we now go to drug control, drug law and enforcement, NDA. Honorable Speaker, this is one area that we should register excellence, because the director of that institution has been there for more than 5 years to 6 years now, or above, or more than that. So, but we have seen in this country wherein, the drug will be seized, in certain areas, like the famous drug seizures that was done at the seaport, our seaport, and we want to challenge the Interior Minister to tell us this Bantaketa that has been a talk of, who is this Bantaketa? Because still it's over 1 year that people cannot know who is Bantaketa. So also in that area, we'll challenge the drugs.
Honorable Speaker.
Honorable Speaker.
Yeah,
is there a point of order?
Yes, minority.
Point of order.
Can we hear it?
I want to observe my colleague that the matter of the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency regarding Bantaketa is before the court of law. And any matter before the court of law should not be part of the parliamentary deliberation.
Thank you, minority. Sustained.
Thank you very much, minority leader. I still believe, but I still believe this Bantaketa should be...
Honorable member, please, when there is a ruling, you cannot go over it. Learn to abide by the laws of the land. Please.
Honorable Speaker, with due respect, I will, but it's my opinion.
You cannot express an opinion here when there is a ruling.
Honorable Speaker, I will.
Honorable member, please sit down. Honorable member, please sit down.
Honorable Kante.
Honorable member, please sit down. Honorable members, I have said it over and over. We are guided here by laws. Some of those laws we are prepared by ourselves. You don't have opinions on those. We are all guided by those laws. There is a point that we are made to understand and is sustained and is true. You cannot comment on it. You cannot go ahead with your debate. Please. Is that what you want? Okay, please go ahead and continue your debate.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I will look at the area of agriculture. Honorable Speaker, the President made mention of a huge amount of funds that has been directed to the advancement of agricultural productivity in this country. Honorable Speaker, we challenge the Minister responsible for agriculture to make sure that, those projects reflect, those projects reflect the development and aspirations of farmers in our rural Gambia. Honorable Speaker, if you go down to CRR to URR, you will realize that Gambia did not lack the fields where we can make a mass production of rice and other related agricultural productivity. But what we lack is the expertise. We did not even lack the expertise. You have so many doctorate degree holders in the field of agriculture, but what we lack is transparency and accountability in the field of agriculture. And we will challenge the minister responsible for agriculture to make sure that he deploy people of higher caliber and integrity to be monitors and also project coordinators in those areas so that the benefit can be felt, realized in our rural Gambia agricultural productivity productions. Honorable Speaker, I'll also move to the office of the Vice President. Honorable Speaker, of recent, we all realize that Gambia is hit by a flood, and that flooding have caused so many homes, left so many homes in devastated stage. Honorable Speaker, we have seen during that moment step that has been taken by the government of this country in the case of Jabang disaster victims, which is unfortunate. I will call it very inhuman to intervene in that manner to destroy homes and houses of individuals who are residents of that estate. And besides, Honorable Speaker, I will put it very clear, those victims did not make themselves a victim. Those victims acquired this land through a process and procedures that are legal. Those victims, to remind this Honorable Speaker, to remind this Honorable August gathering, those victims were allocated that land through a social security. And as far as I know, social security is a department within the Gambia government purview. So, if somebody should be blamed for blocking the blocking the waterways in that area, it should be physical planning, which is and social security, who allocated the land, and the approval was given to them by the physical planning for that area to be a residential place. And Honorable Speaker, under the Office of the Vice President, we have this disaster management agency. Again, this disaster management agency should be very much proactive in assessing disaster occurrence and disaster victims so that they can give remedies timely. But in doing so, Honorable Speaker, they should also refrain from being political in their doing and their actions. The reason why I say that, Honorable Speaker, we all live in witness when COVID-19 hit this country heavily. We are all victims of COVID-19 here. You can see the distributors of those rice will come and jump compounds because they are perceived to be an opposition. So those things did not help a nation. We are trying to build a nation, so our actions as public officials should reflect the core values of transparency, integrity, and honesty. Honorable Speaker, in the area of youth and sport, we must commend the sector for registering success that happens during these 5 years. They have performed tremendously well in the area of sporting and other youth engagement activities. We have seen so many projects, international projects, that are geared towards empowering youths and which also create some or have effect on the positive effect on the youths of this country. Honorable Speaker, we haven't said that we should also look at the conduct of the ministry, and we will advise our honorable minister to make sure that the incident that happens did not repeat itself. Honorable Minister, look at gender, children, and social welfare. Honorable Minister, this is one of the areas that I want to advocate to
Point
make
of
sure
order.
that
Point of order.
Can we hear the point of order, member for Sabang?
Yes, thank you, Honorable Speaker. All speeches in the Assembly should be addressed to the Speaker and not to ministers.
What's your point?
Yeah, that is in order. Honorable member, please address me.
Honorable Speaker, I think I'm addressing you. Honorable Speaker, okay, let's look at gender, children, and social welfare. Honorable Speaker, this is the area that I really want to make sure that, you know, the intervention to be very critical and clear so that we can see our women as partners in development. Honorable Speaker, looking at the current position of our cabinet, it doesn't, you know, it doesn't look to be gender, it doesn't look to be, you know, very fair to women. We only have 2 or 3 representatives at the cabinet. Now, because the president did make mention of it, I will challenge the president to make sure that next time he include more women in our cabinet positions so that the balance can be, yeah. Honorable Speaker, I also challenge security chiefs to make sure that, you know, they promote more women at the helm of affairs of our security, so that they can also take command positions and make sure that, you know, because they are afraid with the issues that affect women. So taking them into that positions will also enable them to have that understanding and the know-how as to how they will treat women. Honorable Speaker, also on the gender, children and social welfare, special attention should be given to children with special needs. Honorable Speaker, we challenge this ministry to make sure that they, you know, they engage government in all sectors to make sure that component of this, you know, people with disabilities to have an employment. With that, we'll avert people begging on the street. With that, we'll avert people being sympathized on the street. And with that, we'll raise the dignity and integrity of people with these special needs. Honorable Speaker, I would also like to make some intervention in the area of tourism and culture. Honorable Speaker, like the other speaker rightly alluded, Honorable Speaker, certain statements are derogative and should not be made, particularly targeting people from a specific country who are one time our masters. You know, women have right to choose and to decide who to go to bed with. Women should have right to come to any country and find a husband of their choice. It should not be a national discussion or ministerial or even departmental subject matter to throw those derogative remarks in that particular areas. We do that, we are going to make sure we will be losing our tourist sector and we believe tourism contributed, in our revenue collection. Honorable Speaker, I also want to talk about our brothers and sisters, the diasporans, who time and again were seen contributing positively towards the growth and development of this country. Honorable Speaker, I would say it, without our brothers and sisters who are in diaspora, most people in this country will be in a pain, sorrow, because the family dependency in this country is skyrocketing. But then with their intervention, more concentration lies on them than people who are residing in this country. So acknowledging them by the President for their contribution towards the national development, towards the revenue collection is very commendable and welcomed. Honorable Speaker, we look at petroleum and energy. Honorable Speaker, I think I can talk about this because the matter is out from the court. Honorable Speaker, we have a case here in the Gum Petroleum case, and the accused persons were acquitted and discharged. Honorable Speaker, this is a case that allegedly a lot of funds has been siphoned or been pocketed into private pockets. Honorable Speaker, we want the government to look at this case very critically and, if possible, to reinvestigate and know. Because as far as the matter, the accused persons were discharged at the court, we want thorough investigation into this matter. So we challenge the Inspector General of Police to take note, and the Interior Minister. Honorable Speaker, in the area of education, like several speakers have alluded, when we said education, we cannot only talk about, the professional education, but we should also make sure that, we look into the training facility, training centers, to decentralize these training centers in various regions, various constituencies, so that people who are not fortunate enough to pass their exam, to have enrollment in universities and tertiary institutions can be, can have admission into these training schools and can learn skills. That is all going to enhance development and productivity of this country. Honorable Speaker, probably my last intervention will be in the area of health. Honorable Speaker, over the years, for the past 5 years, we have seen several NGOs that are set up to make sure that they partake in the health management system in this country. One notable amongst them is the Gambia Women's Life Matters. Honorable Speaker, I think this particular NGO is doing a great job for the country. We are all witness to that. So I'll urge the Minister of Health to make sure that he work with these like-minded NGOs to make sure that, we bring, we at least, empowers them to help them in the process, show that what they are doing can be, realized and felt by the women who are in these situations. Because we have seen several occasions when the women at the delivery point, they lack blood, they will make a communication, fast communications, through social medias, and within short period of time, they will have a response, and people will go and donate blood to the particular woman in pain. So we'll urge the Minister of Health to have a close working relationship with these NGOs and see them as partners in development, but not in other way around. Honorable Speaker, several speakers have lamented the number of funds that has been deployed into the Ministry of Health during COVID-19, and after COVID, and up to this time, we need to see results, because our health sector in this country is definitely a point of concern. Honorable Speaker, the health facilities, I don't want to make mention of my constituency because of, for some reason, but the health facilities in this country need to be upgraded to major hospitals. The health facilities situated at Banjulunding need to be upgraded because of the catchment areas that it serves. The health facilities at Yundum need to be upgraded to major hospital status because of the catchment areas it serves. Like Busumbala, the biggest village within my constituency, is without a health facility. They always fall back to that of Yundum. Honorable Speaker, with these interventions, I beg to take my seat, and thank you for giving me the floor.
Thank you very much, Honorable Member for Busumbala. Honorable members, it seems memories fade easily sometimes, because most of us, if you remember, sometime we are members of either the civil or the public service. We've gone to, after two, from morning to now, we have just dealt with only three members contributed. And we still have about 30 other members to contribute. And today is the last day for the debate. We must stay to finish. So honorable members must note that. Equally, those who have spoken and we are listened to by honorable members must also stay to listen to others when they speak. On that note, I will suspend the sittings for an hour for us to go for lunch and pray.
Observation before we go. Honorable Speaker, I have an observation before you rule that out, please. Please.
Who is making an observation?
Honorable Sabak Sanjal.
Sabak Sanjal?
Yes, please.
Yes, Sabak Sanjal.
Thank you. Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I just have an observation before you adjourn. On the standing orders 61, debate of motions and amendments, I am suggesting that the Assembly Business Committee should sit over this matter whilst we are on break. Because if you look at standing order 61, subsection 2 is saying the Assembly may, on a motion made by the Assembly Business Committee, in accordance with this standing order, impose a limit in respect of debate or any particular motion or bill by allotting a limited period of time for such debate or by limiting the time during which members may speak. So I'm suggesting that they should at least suggest a particular time for the debate so that we can conclude.
Thank you very much, Honorable Member, for Sabak. Honorable Member, I have said it at the ABC meeting. I did raise the issue of trying to put a time limit. And members there then said, no, let's leave it open. Now we are here, others have contributed openly. It will be difficult to restrict others. So we must all bear the brunt to stay here to finish. All what we need to do is, let's, as much as possible, avoid repetition upon repetition. So, honorable members, it's already going 2:30, it's 25 after. I will suspend the session. The assembly stands suspended until 15:30, when we should all come back to resume business again. So the assembly stands suspended until 15:30.
But here, for the farmers, Honorable Speaker, simply because the price of fertilizer. And since I came to this parliament for 5 years now, what I have been talking about is, when we talk of agriculture, it's not only crops. But this ministry, I don't know. They are only concentrating on crops. Look at what happened this year. Most of our animals, when there is an outbreak, they die. This is why, for me, I want livestock to have its own ministry. If we want agriculture to move, Honorable Speaker. Because the way we are going, it is not helping. Without separating this livestock from agriculture, we will not go. Look at animals. They move from one place to another. Most of the animals around the rural areas, they go to Nyani, how to call it, they go to Nyamina. Why they go there? Because of water. No drinking points for these animals, and food. So therefore they must go. And when they move, Honorable Speaker, it's an advantage to those communities because of their remains. When they are there, it will add values to our farms. But when they move to other areas, it is those people that will benefit. But when they have enough water, enough food, the people there also can use those remains as a form of fertilizer. No drinking points for those animals. And livestock assistance is very few in this country. Very few. I don't know what the ministry is doing to train more livestock assistants so that when there are serious cases of outbreak of disease, those people can easily help those farmers. And it is mentioned in the reports, Honorable Speaker, it is mentioned that there are 8 projects. And those projects, the project which is very, very, very important, that is small ruminants. And we are told that that projects, they should do certain things at those places. We want an update of that small ruminant project, at what level they are. But that does not feature in this report. You see, a report should be well informed, because that is the report that I will be talking to you without saying you. But if the report is not well informed, you will not know. That will make us to ask so many questions. Honorable Speaker, I want to move to health, which is also a very important health thing in the Gambia and all over. We know there are so many issues in our health centers. Personnel is an issue. Even sometimes drugs is an issue. You go to other areas. Let's say you go to Bansang or you go to Karantaba. You go to Karantaba, they said, they only prescribe, they said they don't have that drug. Where are you going? When there is, pharmacy, correct pharmacies there, where are you going? Around here, you have a lot of pharmacies here. And you have a lot of private clinic. You can go, but at the rural areas, those ones are not there. So I think we have to look at these issues critically. Honorable Speaker, all this suffering is the rural people. All this suffering that we are talking about here is with the rural people. I think it's high time now, at least the government look at the rural people. At least upgrade those health centers. Like Karantaba. People, if they are from Medina, maybe they go to Karantaba. If it is instruments are there, it is going to take care of their problems. And very sad, Honorable Speaker, the whole CRR not. There is no major hospital. And I have been saying this over and over for 5 years. And before, the whole CRR not. No major hospital. No major hospital. I will not. No major hospital. You come with a point of order, but observation, no. Forget about that. Okay, now, in the report, we talk about, Honorable Speaker, I'm the chair. I'm the chair. I'm on the floor. That means I'm the chair. I'm on the floor. If I don't excuse it, no. Honorable Speaker, in the report, we talk about community ambulance. Nobody can distract me. Whatever I want to say, I will say. Community ambulance. Honorable Speaker, this community ambulance, they came up with obstacles. We are told that fuel is a constraint. Salaries for the drivers are constraints. And even there are communities, they have their own ambulance. If the ministry cannot provide an ambulance for them, but those communities have their own ambulance, I think they should look at those communities are paying their drivers, they are putting fuel for themselves and even maintenance. I think they should look at least and say, now, let us at least take some for them. Thank you very much. Honorable Speaker, what I have before me, that's what I will look at. Thank you very much. Honorable Speaker, the other thing that I want to look at is basic and secondary education. We know education is the key to success. A better education moves the country forward. The partners are doing a lot in Ministry of Basic and Secondary Education. It has featured in the report. They build a lot of schools. lot of toilets. And we must thank our GTU CCU. They are also building staff quarters for the teachers. One school in Bolivana that was built by the GTU CCU. We must thank them. And Honorable Speaker, our committee, we went round. That was during the 5th legislature. We went round to see.
Honorable member.
We went round to see some of these schools.
Honorable member, our committee. Our committee. We committee.
That education, I'm talking about education.
No.
Because already,
Honorable member, don't argue.
You are not the chair, please. You are not the chair. Let the chair talk. No, you are not the chair.
Honorable member, please don't entertain side talks. And when you talk about, honorable member, please, don't entertain side talks. As people tell you observation, just ignore them and continue if you don't want to. 2, when you talk about my committee, tell people which one is your committee.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. I believe when I started, I said Ministry of Basic and Secondary Education. I don't want repetition to say education, education. You must follow the pattern of my speech. When I started, I said agriculture, from agriculture, I said health, from health.
Islamic microfinance is becoming an increasingly popular mechanism for poverty alleviation, especially for developing countries around the world. This microfinance service adheres to the principles of Islam as a form of social responsibility. Yona Islamic Microfinance is the Islamic microfinance of choice in the Gambia, trustworthy and reliable. At Yona Islamic Microfinance, we provide savings products, current accounts, financing products in conformity with Islam. In addition, Yona Islamic Microfinance also offers local and international remittances, takaful fund, management of zakat, management of awqaf, trading and investment, and building of strategic partnerships to bring financial services to the doorstep of the poor with donor projects, madrasas, youth organizations, women groups, and farmer organizations. Make a choice with Yona Islamic Microfinance today. For more information on Yona Islamic Microfinance, call 377-2151 or 9832-151 or visit Yona head office at Tipa Garage, Bakote, or visit any Yona branch located countrywide near you.
Agada.
Mbijan raganya.
Albaka.
Mbaka important.
Yo, nga transfer la story.
Ya transfer la story.
Ha, code nyingi.
Okay. Nsila ID soto.
Sa soto. Sorry. Agada.
Mbijan bro.
Albaka.
Mbaka.
Bara alla service o tariaka.
Mbare.
Mo ki janna nun kunu bara tariaka.
Jannom Yona Forest de Bureau. Gambia tonkon na no mbali ya bere. Birim koyna fo kato.
Bari si kodo kino kato nim fo bolong blabe to.
56 branches mola soto Gambia jam.
Ha?
Gambia kono ani Gambia bantala bankol. Nka kodo kiya bere to. Kodo sifa fo falindiro fo nyaadi lafta memmen na kodi topoto nin kodi maraw. Jannam number 1 di nyonta. Andum fana nata anoda enterprise sotale. Golam nyindi ko domorol fana kol fana be firale de dadi ma ni domorol dir fana beteat. Gambia dawda yalo ma fa kendol sotale je.
Wo moyo diat.
Apelenta
ni
baraka
ni na lafta nyelen kendol e bina.
Yalo bukani la ko la baraka ba.
Yalo ndel chosano lo.
Baraka.